Folks, welcome to yet another episode from TGV Global Speaker Series. And our guest for today is Pako Moshaga, and he's from Gaborone, Botswana. As we prepare to delve into our conversation on the topic at hand, personal branding and public speaking skills for professional success, here's an exciting twist. Let us tickle the brain of Pako first. So, Pako, get ready for a rapid fire round of random words. I'll mention a few, and I would love to hear the first thing that comes to your mind in response without thinking much. If you're ready, let's get started.
Right. Let's go.
Okay, here comes my first word: curiosity.
Cat.
Invention.
Science.
Future.
AI.
Book.
Novels.
Movie.
Cinema.
Food.
Lunch.
Creativity.
Innovation.
Next is brand.
Marketing.
Universe.
Huge.
And last one is success.
Principles.
Superb. And thank you so much for participating in the first rapid fire round so sportively. And there is one more waiting at the fag end of the episode, so stay tuned. And folks, welcome to the Guiding Voice podcast series, where we embark on transformative conversations for a better future. I'm your host Naveen Samala, dedicated to making the world a better place through valuable discussions that add value not only to your life but also to your career. And thank you so much for tuning in. Pako, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice, and super thrilled to have you part of our journey in shaping the careers and lives of millions across the globe. How are you doing today?
Thank you, Naveen, so much for having me on the show. I'm great, and it's a pleasure. And hi also to your followers and your listeners. I'm looking forward to a great conversation today.
Absolutely. Let's rock. And we'll begin with the success mantra. So, Pako, share with our audience the top 3 things that have contributed to your success so far.
So I'd say the top 3 things. Number 1 is living a life of principles, having a set of principles that I live by, that guide me at work, in business, anywhere where I am. There's a set of principles that I live by, and those have helped me. And just to highlight, one of the principles is excellence, ensuring that anything that I do it excellently and diligently. Then the second thing, I'd say, it's being fair to myself. You know, at times you do well in life, at times you don't. So what matters a lot is how you treat yourself during those moments, how you speak to yourself when you don't do well. And so that's one thing that I live by, to say, you know what, today you didn't do well, but next time you can do better. I know you will. Next time you will do exceptionally better. Then the third one is my faith. I'm a Christian, and so Christian values and Christian principles, and a life of prayer and faith has really helped me to get to the level that I am at now. So those are my 3.
Super, Pako. First and second are something which I completely resonate with you, and in fact I follow them diligently. I also live a life of principles, and in fact I make sure that I'm following the principles before I preach something to others. And second one is around being fair to oneself. Constant retrospection. And in case, even when it comes to podcasting, if there are certain episodes which I may not do well, and immediately after that I get into a mode, saying that I think you are not at your best. Hey, you have to do better next time. So I completely resonate with you. And with that, let's move forward and talk about the core of today's conversation. We'll start with the personal branding first. So, Pako, how can professionals establish and cultivate a strong personal brand within their workplace? And why do you think it is essential for their career growth?
Right. So firstly, to establish a personal brand, you need to have a unique value proposition. And that is your talent or your skill, something that you do exceptionally well. Maybe it's making presentations or writing reports. It could be a number of things, but you need to identify what that one thing is for you. Then secondly, you need to understand that branding yourself at work isn't all about working hard. Hard work is important, very important, but you won't get noticed if all that you do is just work hard and you don't talk to your managers, colleagues, you don't socialize, you are you don't have people skills. So the second thing is to understand that you need to be social at work. You need to be comfortable with talking to people, interacting with them is very, very important. And then thirdly, you need to understand that personal branding is about one, having a talent or a skill. Then secondly, knowing how to package it. I can be very talented, but if the packaging is bad, no one will be interested. So you need to learn the importance of being presentable in the workplace and having a good character, treating others well, treating others fairly all the time, whether they are senior or whether they are junior. Then lastly, why personal branding is important. Opportunities are drawn by our personal brands. If you are very, very good at what you do at work, people will talk about you until the senior bosses know your name and they notice you and they know of you. Then when opportunities come up, they'll say, oh, there's that young man that we know. How about him? Let's try him out. Let's give him this job. But if you have a bad reputation, then it works in reverse. They say, no, but I know him. He's always late for work. He's always doing this and that, just negative things about you. And so you lose out on that opportunity. So that's why personal branding is important. It'll draw opportunities to you.
Yeah. Excellent. That is so crisp and clear. And let's talk about the common mistakes or the pitfalls that individuals make when it comes to personal branding at work, and how can they avoid them?
So one mistake is being inconsistent. Personal branding is a lot like marketing. And marketing is consistent. Coca-Cola, in every advert, they are very consistent. It's always the same type of tone and style. So even in your personal brand, you need to be consistent. If you do a good job today on Monday, Tuesday, do a good job. Wednesday, just be consistently doing a good job. That's very, very important. Then secondly, the other mistake that people make is not being serious with their presentation. You need to be presentable in how you are dressed to work, very important, and in how you present your work. With your files, are your files neat and tidy? Is your desk tidy? Everything to do with your presentation is very, very important. And then thirdly, which I mentioned earlier on, is around not interacting, because it's important to be talented and skilled, but if no one knows of you, then it's not of much value. If the only people that know that you are very good at writing are the people on the same floor as you, then it won't help you in any way, because it's always the same people, the same circles. So we need to learn how to have people skills and to interact and to showcase ourselves, to find opportunities for people to see us and to see what we are good at.
Amazing, Pako. I think packaging is one thing very, very important, and it's not just about the talent or skill, as you have insisted. I think we have to make sure that our brand reflects not only in our work but also the way we communicate. And one thing that I like the most is you emphasize that we need to treat people with respect, irrespective of whether they are up above our level or at the same level or at below level, because most often people tend to respect only people above them who are influential, and they think that that is the way to go. But we need to manage everyone around in such a way that we are true to ourselves and treating them fairly, and most importantly with respect. And I really admire that particular set of thoughts. Now let's move forward and talk about this personal branding. Does this personal branding differ for entrepreneurs and business owners compared to the professionals or the employees, means those who are working as an employee or a working professional?
Okay, so I'd say the principles of personal branding are the same, right? Your unique value proposition, your presentation, and your character. So those are the three principles which are the same, whether you are in business or in career or music, whatever field that you're in. So the difference for business people and career professionals is that for business people, their audience is wider. If I'm a business person, my brand interacts with my customers, my suppliers, my stakeholders, my business partners. So there are so many people that I interact with. But as a career person, I only interact with people within the company. So that's the main difference. But the principles are the same. In business, if I'm buying from you, or rather, if I'm buying from your company, and if I like you and I respect you as a person, then that like and that respect or that brand equity is transferred to the company. So because I respect you as a person, I like the company that you are running. But if you have a bad character and you don't treat others well, and you are not very presentable, you are inconsistent as a person, then I'll be very doubtful of your company as well. To say, if Naveen is like this as a person, then I'm sure that his company also is just like him. It's not in a good state. And so I'm less likely to buy from you. So if you look at Elon Musk, you see, Elon Musk is liked by most people. He's respected and esteemed by a lot of people. And because of that, people are more willing to buy his cars because they like him as a person. Same thing with Apple and the late Steve Jobs. Because Steve Jobs had such a good reputation, even the phones that he was advertising and marketing enjoyed that same benefit, that we like Steve Jobs, so we like whatever Steve Jobs is selling to us. And so that's the key difference between personal branding for career professionals and for business people.
Super, Paco. Very insightful. And let's move forward to the next one. A while ago, we spoke about being fair and most importantly, the authenticity part, right? So, what role does this authenticity play in personal branding for businesses, and how can entrepreneurs balance authenticity with professionalism?
So authenticity is important, right? So your personal brand is an extension of who you are as a person. So your personal brand should always be true to your true character, to who you really are. So the brand is just the packaging or the nice packaging, we can say that. So who you are online, who you are at work, who you are at home should be the same person throughout. The same character, the same values, the same behavior, and the likes. So if you are not authentic, you are more like a con man, because a con man wears a suit and a tie and he looks good. You know, he carries files in a briefcase and everything. So the brand looks like he's a businessman, but there's no value. There's no actual value. There's no content. He can say the right things, but he doesn't have the actual content and the value. So in personal branding, that's why you need to start with your value proposition. Start with the talent and the skill, and then build the packaging around it. It's a lot like trying to sell a product. Let's say iPhone. iPhone is a very nice phone, but it needs a packaging, right? It needs a box, and the box needs to have certain type of font that you can see that, hey, you know what, whatever is inside this box is expensive. You see, so personal branding is the same. The packaging, the outfits, and the presentation that you have is the packaging that surrounds your unique value proposition. So authenticity is very, very important.
Amazing, Paco. I'm loving every bit of this conversation. And let's move forward to the second part of this topic, which is about public speaking. So, public speaking can be a daunting task for many. And people have that glossophobia, fear of public speaking. I think that is the second biggest fear after fear of death. That's what I have learned during my Toastmaster journey. So, what advice do you have for individuals looking to master this public speaking skills and overcome the stage fear?
So I'd say the first thing, you need to understand the source of your fear. If you have a fear of public speaking, there's something that you are afraid of. Maybe you're afraid of making a mistake on stage. You're afraid of the audience being bored. You're afraid that you might forget your content and just go blank on stage. So whatever it is, find out what you are afraid of and attack it from the roots. That's very, very important. And then secondly, you need to learn how to practice your presentation. So usually when I give a talk, I'll practice it first at home, so that by the time I give the actual presentation, I've done it maybe 4 times at home. So on the day of the presentation, I'm doing it for the 5th time. And so I'm very relaxed because I've done this over and over and over again. Then the third thing that I'd say is that, when you're on stage, you look at people's faces, and often you would then start to wonder what they're thinking, because most of the time people won't smile. Their face is just blank. It's just like this. It's just a serious face. It's a blank face, and so you start to wonder: are they paying attention? What do they think of the talk? Do they think it's good? And then you start panicking when you're giving the talk, and once you panic, you lose your footing. You get nervous. You start to stutter, and you make all sorts of mistakes, and you are sweating on stage, and you're shaking, and all sorts of things. So it's very, very important that when you are giving a talk, don't focus too much on the faces. Don't try and think what are they thinking about. Just focus on your content and delivering that content as best as you can.
Superb. I think these are easy to practice. You don't have to really worry about investment or something. This is some general tips what Paco has shared, and really, really effective. So folks, please listen to this segment once again. I think these are real gold, real gold. And Paco, now let's talk about the most common pitfalls to avoid when speaking in public. How can one refine their communication skills?
All right. So the first pitfall when it comes to public speaking is not paying attention to your body language. They say most of communication comes from body language, not from spoken language. So when you're on stage, you need to be mindful of your body language. You need to be mindful and think, am I sitting upright? What am I doing with my hands? How's my posture? How's my eye contact? So all of those things are things that people are noticing and are aware of. If you're giving a talk, Naveen, and you are nervous, I can tell that you are nervous from your body language.
Yeah.
Your voice is low, you are looking down, and all sorts of things. So body language is very, very important. And one way to overcome this is that when you're practicing giving a talk, record yourself via video and observe how you look on stage. And you'll notice so much. Then watch the recording with the sound off, actually. Turn off the sound when you watch the recording, so that you really focus and observe on your body language to see how you are doing. Then the second pitfall, people tend to focus on who is in the audience. Let's say I'm giving a presentation and there's a minister in the audience, and there are big dignitaries, MDs and CEOs and the likes. If I focus a lot on who is attending, I'm going to get nervous, because I'm going to think how they are so much older than me. They have more experience. They are very wealthy. They are very accomplished. And then the more I think about that, the more bigger they seem, and the more smaller I seem as a result. You see. So when you give a presentation, keep the focus on yourself, that the host trusts you to give this presentation. And secondly, you know your content. You are a master of that content, hence why you are asked to come and give this presentation. Then thirdly, again, practice. The more you practice, the less nervous you will be. So I'd say those are some of the most common pitfalls that I've seen.
Super, Paco, and this has been an incredible conversation, and it's time for us to add some spice to the episode and add some excitement. So if you are ready, let's get into the second rapid fire round. Okay.
Let's go.
I got your go ahead. Let me fire the first bullet. Paco, if you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
I would have a billboard saying that you are enough. As you are enough.
Wow. I think this is so powerful. And Paco, if you could swap lives with a fictional character for a day, who would it be and what would you do in their shoes?
Definitely, I'd say Superman. I'd take a break from work and just go around saving people all over the world.
Nice. I loved it. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Exceptional.
You are indeed. And Paco, if you were the ruler of a tiny imaginary country, what would be your first decree or the order?
The first decree would be that bullying is illegal. I hate bullying so much.
Okay, here comes the next one. What is the most ridiculous item on your bucket list and why is it there?
To have junk food from as many countries over the world as I can. I love food and I love junk food as well. So I'm very curious to see how it is in each country.
I loved it, and this is the first time I asked this question in my entire show. I loved it. Superb. And Paco, here comes the last bullet out of rapid fire. What is one electronic gadget or a fantasy gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself?
I'd definitely say I'd love to have a device that can take my thoughts and write them down because I'm a writer, so I spend a lot of time writing. So it'd be nice to just think of something, then it just types it out,
Yeah, I think we might see it in our lifetime.
I really hope so. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
No, good one. I loved it. I loved it. And let's flip back to the mainstream, Paco. So before we wrap up,
Okay.
If you had to distill your wealth of knowledge on personal branding into one key piece of advice for our audience who are looking to enhance their personal brand, what would that advice be? And what action can they take today to start implementing it?
So I'd say your personal brand comes from your self-image. Your self-image is how you see yourself. So the way that I dress comes from how I mentally see myself. If I doubt myself, if I underestimate myself, I will just dress anyhow. I'll dress badly, baggy clothes, not tidy, and the likes. But if I think well of myself, I will always dress well because I respect and I value myself. So in personal branding, start with the mind. Understand how you see yourself, why you see yourself that way, and work towards having a very high value and level of respect for yourself. And as you develop that, you want to dress well, you want to speak well, you just want to do everything exceptionally well because the mental image of yourself is of a very high level. So that's what I'd say.
Superb. I loved it. Really, self-image is something which is very, very critical. Like this reminds me of one picture that gets socialized on various platforms, right? There is a cat standing in front of the mirror and imagining a lion, and the other way around. There is a lion imagining a cat, right? Yeah, very well said. And,
Yeah.
Paco, I
Exactly.
thoroughly enjoyed every bit of it. And in fact, you have distilled all your wisdom into these nuggets, small nuggets, and which is easy to consume and which is easy to implement. And I really appreciate you sharing your thoughts on our platform. And before I let you go, share with us how is your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice platform?
Thanks so much, Naveen, for reaching out and asking me to be on this platform. I always enjoy sharing my knowledge and my experience with personal branding so that I can help other people to develop their brands. And my experience on this show has been really great. You've been a great host. I love the questions, rapid fire questions, especially those were unexpected. So it was quite fun. It was a very enjoyable experience. So please always keep as part of the show because it's very different. It's very, very different. And it just makes things less tense, and less formal. So please always have that on the show, Naveen. And thank you again to all the listeners and the followers of the podcast. They can follow me on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and on Instagram, and on my YouTube channel as well as my name on every single of those platforms.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who have tuned into this episode, you will find Paco's credentials, including his website, LinkedIn URL, Facebook profile, and everything is in the show notes. Go ahead and connect with him. And trust me, he's very, very responsive. And I love his social media posts also. He's putting in some wonderful content out there, which will be beneficial to you. And if you like his content, you can share with your followers also. And with that, we'll get back to our conversation. And that was our episode, enchanting episode with Pako Moshaga. and let us get into the trivia. But before we move into the trivia section, we have a quick request. If you haven't already, please subscribe to the Guiding Voice podcast from wherever you have tuned in, because subscribing keeps you updated on new episodes. And also, if you have enjoyed the conversation and found it useful, please share with at least three of your friends or colleagues who would also like the Guiding Voice. So spread the knowledge and help others grow just like you. Now let's cruise into the trivia segment. Since we had an amazing guest, Pako Moshaga from Botswana country, I thought I would present you a few lesser known and interesting facts about Botswana. Here comes the first fact. It is about low population density, and Botswana is one of the least densely populated countries in the world. Despite its vast size, its population is relatively small, making it one of the most sparsely populated nations globally. And this low population density has contributed to the country's abundant wildlife and preserved natural landscapes. Second one is about stable democracy. Botswana has maintained a stable democracy since gaining independence from the United Kingdom in 1966. And it is known for its consistent democratic governance, respect for the rule of law, and minimal corruption, making it a political success story in Africa. These facts really showcase the unique characteristics and achievements of Botswana, making it a fascinating and distinctive country. So that's it from my end about Botswana. And in case if you know any interesting facts or least known facts about Botswana, please keep them coming in. You can comment on YouTube, or you can also comment on social media platforms wherever you have found this episode. So that's it for today's episode. And thank you so much for taking time to tune in and also for being part of our awesome TGV community. Folks, we would love to hear from you, and do not hesitate to share your ideas and feedback, guest speaker suggestions, or topic recommendations either through our social media, or you can also email us at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. So let us create content that resonates with you. I'm your host Naveen Samala, a lifelong learner, and my goal is to have impactful conversations that improve not only your life but also your career. Until next time, take care, stay inspired, and remember, the future holds great things because the best is yet to come. Goodbye for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest.